Welcome along to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we are jumping straight into the deep end with a real giant of world rugby. The South African national team. You know them, of course, as the Springboks.
That's right. And we're digging into a specific Rugby Pass page today. It's packed with their news, the squad, players, their history, all of it.
Exactly. And our mission really is to pull out the key stuff from just this page. What does this particular source tell us about why the Springboks are, well, such a powerhouse?
It's like a focused briefing, using only the info presented right there on that page.
Spot on. And if this kind of focused look at specific teams drawing straight from the source material sounds like your thing, do make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession wherever you get your deep dives.
Okay, so where do we start? I think to get the Springboks, you have to feel that history, right? The page mentions the huge affection fans have for them. It's clearly more than just rugby over there.
Oh, definitely. It feels like a national symbol, and the page really leans into that straight away. And the history it lays out is, well, pretty incredible. It says they were seen as a great power way back, even by the interwar years.
Yeah, imagine that. Dominant for, what, nearly a century? That's some foundation.
But then there's that difficult period. The source highlights the isolation.
Right, the anti-apartheid boycotts.
Yeah.
The page notes they were actually involved in getting the World Cup started, but then couldn't even play in the first two.
Yeah, that context is crucial, isn't it? It makes their debut in '95, when they hosted and won it, feel even more significant. The source really flags that as a massive moment.
A huge moment. Talk about a comeback story.
And as the page details, that wasn't a one-off. They backed it up. Won again in 2007.
Then 2019.
And most recently, 2023. Which, and this is a key stat the source points out, made them the first team ever to get 4 World Cup titles.
Yeah, the page puts that number in context. New Zealand's got 3, Australia 2, England 1. So standing alone at 4, that's quite something. Unmatched in the tournament's history, according to this source.
Definitely underscores that sustained excellence.
And it's not just the World Cup, is it? The source mentions their success in the Rugby Championship too, formerly the Tri-Nations. 5 titles since they joined back in '96.
Right. And here's another little gem from the page. It specifically says they're the only team to win the Rugby Championship and the World Cup in the same year.
Wow, okay. Doing the double like that shows an incredible ability to peak, doesn't it?
It really does. The source highlighting that specific achievement, I think, speaks volumes.
So you piece all that together from the page.
Yeah.
The deep roots, surviving isolation, that '95 triumph, 4 World Cups, the unique double. It paints a picture of, well, incredible resilience and talent, generation after generation.
And you see that talent in the legends, don't you? The page mentions over a dozen players in the Hall of Fame, specifically names John Smit and Francois Pienaar as examples.
Yeah, Smit and Pienaar, huge names, recognized globally. It shows the caliber of player they produce.
So thinking about all that history just laid out in the source, the early strength, the absence, the wins, for you listening, based purely on these facts from the page, what part of that story do you feel really defines the Springboks today?
Interesting question to ponder. Okay, so let's shift gears. What does the page tell us about them right now?
Well, first up, current form looks strong. The page highlights a 4-win streak in their last 5 games, so clearly carrying momentum.
Good starting point. And the news section on the page has some intriguing bits about the squad itself, like Rassie Erasmus naming this huge 54-man squad.
54! That's massive. And the source notes something important there. 9 uncapped players included.
9, yeah. That immediately signals they're looking wide, maybe thinking about the future, bringing new blood in.
Although, interestingly, further down the page, it specifically mentions Saint Swarno Augustus as one of 8 uncapped players in that camp.
Ah, okay. So a slight variation within the source itself. Whether it's 8 or 9, though, the main point from the page is clear. A deliberate mix of fresh talent with the established guys.
Exactly. It shows a clear strategy, doesn't it? Not just sticking with the tried and tested.
And that strategy seems dynamic, too. The page mentions a concerning injury, forcing them to add another player to the squad.
Right, which shows even with 54 players, you need that depth. Things happen, don't they?
Always. And there's also a mention of Jan de Villiers giving his thoughts on a problem position.
Which the source includes. It suggests that even at the very top, after winning a World Cup, there's constant analysis looking for weaknesses.
Yeah, never standing still. But of course, alongside the potential new guys, the page lists the big guns, the stars.
Oh, yeah. You've got Sia Kolesi, the captain. Eben Etzebeth, massive presence in the second row.
Faf de Klerk at scrum half, Cheslin Coldy on the wing. Always exciting to watch.
And then Damien Alendi in the center, Andre Pollard, the reliable boot at fly half, the core of that winning team.
So the picture the source gives us is this blend. The World Cup winners, the proven experience, alongside, well, maybe 8 or 9 uncapped guys like Augustus, all in this very large pool.
It's an interesting mix. So for you listening, looking at this specific blend described on the page as the big squad, the uncapped players, the established stars, what does that suggest to you about their main focus right now? Short-term results, long-term building, or just trying to do both?
It definitely makes you think about their planning based on what's right here in the source.
Definitely does. Okay, before we look at what the page says is coming up next for them, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying this kind of deep dive, getting right into the source material, please do subscribe to Rugby Obsession on your deep dive app. It really helps us out.
Yeah, please do. Right, so looking ahead, the source gives us the glimpse into their schedule from its perspective around mid-2025. First up, something a bit different. A rugby union hybrid friendly.
Against the Barbarians, no less. That sounds intriguing. A hybrid game.
Yeah. Scheduled for Saturday, June 28th, 2025 at DHL Stadium, according to this page. Barbarians games are always interesting, but a hybrid one. Wonder what that entails exactly.
Could be some experimental stuff going on. Then, just a week later, the source lists a proper international.
Against Italy. That's on Saturday, July 5th, 2025 at Loftus Versfeld. So a Six Nations team, a different kind of test.
And it's probably worth noting, the source also lists the British and Irish Lions 2025 tour in its tournament section for the Springboks.
Ah, good point. So these games, the Babos friendly and the Italy test, you have to think they're preparation for that massive Lions series, right? Stepping stones.
Makes sense. Seeing those specific fixtures listed here kind of maps out a potential build-up. It's exciting.
It is. And thinking back to that squad info from the source, the mix of youth and experience,
right,
it makes you wonder how they'll approach these games.
Yeah, exactly. So based on everything we've pulled from this page, the form, the squad, these upcoming opponents, what are your initial thoughts, your predictions for the Brooks in these couple of matches? Let us know what you think.
It's like putting the puzzle pieces together from this one source, isn't it?
It really is. So, okay, let's recap what this Rugby Pass page has shown us. We've touched on that incredible Springbok history, the early power, navigating the boycotts, the huge 95 win, becoming the only 4-time World Cup winners.
That unique RWC Rugby Championship double, and the legacy of Hall of Famers like Smith and Pienaar mentioned in the source.
Then we looked at the current picture presented. That strong recent form, the big 54-man squad with those 8 or 9 uncapped players.
The injury forcing a squad change, showing the need for depth, and that mention of Jean de Villiers analyzing a problem position, suggesting constant evaluation.
And finally, those upcoming fixtures listed. The Barbarians hybrid match, the Italy test, all likely viewed, based on the source's tournament list, in the context of the huge 2025 Lions tour.
Right, so wrapping it all up, here's a final thought to leave you with, stemming directly from this source material we explored. Given they are the reigning 4-time World Cup champions, what does this page's emphasis on including so many uncapped players in such a large squad really tell us about how the Springboks plan to stay at the top? Is it about building depth, fostering fierce competition, or maybe even hinting at a slight evolution in their approach?
That's the big question the details on this page seem to pose, isn't it? Something to chew on.
Definitely.
Well, if you found this deep dive useful, pulling insights straight from the source, please do hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession.
Thank you so much for listening to this Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
And we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.